Hello everyone, I'm Keelan Berrien with Panther Report News. I would like to welcome back all of our Panthers to campus from a long 5 months since the transition to virtual learning because of COVID-19. Georgia State looks a little different with more incoming freshmen than usual. This year's freshman class broke GSU's history for being the largest. More than 5,000 freshmen enrolled at Atlanta campus, and more than 2,500 freshmen began their journey at Georgia State Perimeter campus. New living conditions to prevent the spread of COVID-19 are in place for those staying on campus this semester. PRN's Alicia Wembley brings us the latest information from University Housing.
I didn't do any of this by my lonesome.
Incoming and returning students arrived on campus to check in for housing August 15th through the 23rd. Students and drivers were screened for COVID-19 and given their keys to their dorm rooms at Blue Lot. Interim Director Shannon Corey has put in place new restrictions and precautions to not only keep the students in housing safe, but to hopefully keep them COVID-free.
They enter in one area over here on Fulton Street, and they basically go through 4 stations. The first one is a screening station where they do get screened. We have particular questions that we ask about symptoms. We also do a temperature check.
Housing is planning to follow CDC guidelines as the university has done for the fall semester. For safety reasons, no bins were allowed in the move-in process. Students were encouraged to bring their own carts and dollies.
We would have masks. We wanted to try to really almost imitate how testing is done, right?
To stay informed of the number of COVID-19 cases on campus, new measures will be given to students that are living in student housing by random tests being administered by the student health clinic. If affected, new living arrangements will be administered.
One of our buildings is actually offline to be available for isolation and quarantine space if needed. And so that's Piedmont North A.
Corvius Property Management provides housing for 9 schools in the University System of Georgia, one of which include Georgia State. 2 national Democrats have started an inquiry into Corvius after they objected to potential plans that would limit the number of students staying in dormitories.
So I don't think I'm going to comment on his opinion, as he's entitled to have his opinion and for the company that he helps to operate. What I will share is in regards to our occupancy, despite what our plan was, students have made their own decisions as well around their own safety.
Corey also disclosed what housing has planned to track coronavirus cases.
So then that report gets shared accordingly. If somebody lives on campus, we will receive that. And we'll also receive from the random sampling that is happening. Health services will communicate to us if there are any housing residents that test positive, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Alicia Wembley, PRN.
College students speak out on university reopening plans at a roundtable conference hosted by the Democratic Party of Georgia. Students from across the table denounced the lack of leadership from President Donald Trump and Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. Among the concerns are the growing number of cases on campus, accessibility to technology, and unchanged student fees. Georgia State student Libby Seeger spoke about the university's lack of transparency when it came to publicly reporting cases on campus.
I have friends who live in university housing, and there are measures being implemented to keep them safe there, and they are asking select students to get tested every week or so to track the spread. But as far as I know, they're not making that information public, which you were asking about transparency, and I think it's something that they do owe to all of their students, especially students who might be high risk and living inside of housing and need to know if it's safe for them to go to their in-person class that day.
And now we turn to Tyreek Wynn for the latest updates on PRN Sports. Tyreek, what's new for us?
Thanks, Keelan. What's up, guys? I'm the new sports director, Tyreek Wynn, and welcome to PRN Sports. Well, if you're like me, you're a big sports fan and you've been missing sports. Unfortunately, due to the coronavirus pandemic, it has put a hold on sports, but now sports have begun to pick back up, including the NBA, MLB, and MLS. Those people are back, just to name a few, and now Georgia State sports is getting ready to begin. Well, the Georgia State football team has already begun practice for the upcoming season, and they are gearing up to take on their first opponent, which will be Lafayette, which will be held at Georgia State Stadium on Saturday, September 19th. And yes, fans will be allowed in the stadium. Now, the big question that's on everybody's mind is, what will Georgia State football team look like this season, and who are the key players that will make a difference? According to head coach Sean Elliott, defensive end Jeffrey Clark, and safety Antavius Lane are pushing for lots of playing time, and they want to start a position. He says Jeffrey Clark made lots of plays during camp, and he will be a big impact within the team. Coach Elliott also stated that Antavius Lane is going to be a very explosive player this season, and he will create lots of turnovers and get lots of tackles. And speaking of Georgia State football, unfortunately, quarterback Michele Colasudra will not be playing with his teammates this season. The quarterback took to Twitter to make the announcement. He stated that he was diagnosed with a heart condition as a result of his COVID-19 diagnosis. He also took time to thank everyone who has been praying for him, and he also thanked head coach Sean Elliott and trainer Bob. Michele Colasudra also said he is looking forward to the 2021 season. Moving on to Georgia State volleyball, the team announced their 2020 schedule this past Thursday. The schedule will be comprised of 9 home games and 9 games on the road. The Lady Panthers will kick off the season at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga on Saturday, September 12th. The last time these two teams met, Georgia State defeated the Chattanooga Mocs after their first road appearance. The volleyball team will return home for their home opener on September 18th against Mercer University. The last time Georgia State defeated Mercer was actually back in 2013. Well, now the Georgia State women's soccer team, they also released their schedule on Thursday. The Lady Panthers season will consist of 14 soccer matches. The Lady Panthers will kick off the season September 11th at Mercer University, and the team will have 3 road games in a row before returning home for their home opener on September 20th, where they will take on Coastal Carolina. Head coach Ed Joyce stated that they have been practicing against each other during their preseason, and now the team is ready to take on their opponents within the next coming weeks. Now, even though Georgia State basketball doesn't start for a while, head coach Rob Lanier is in the news. He has supported the advancement of blacks in sports, which is a new nonprofit organization whose mission is to inspire people and advocate for racial, social, and economic justice for black people in sports. Coach Rob Lanier will serve on the executive committee, chair, and also a subcommittee within the organization. The head coach stated it's an honor to be a part of the organization with some of these great leaders, and the organization is dedicated to making a difference. After the unfortunate police shooting of Jacob Blake, athletes in the NBA, MLB, and WNBA and MLS refused to play games last month. There were some NBA playoff games that had been postponed. The Milwaukee Bucks started off the protest by not coming out of the locker room for their matchup against the Orlando Magic. A few hours after their game was scheduled to start, the Bucks' George Hill and Sterling Brown read a statement that said, "We are calling for racial justice for the killing of Jacob Blake, and they demand the officers be held accountable." They also said it's really important for Wisconsin State Legislature to address police accountability, brutality, and criminal justice reform. And finally, the NFL is getting ready to kick off their regular season. The Atlanta Falcons will kick off their season at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday against Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. The last time the two teams met, the Seahawks outscored the Falcons 27-20. And for week 2, the Falcons will travel to Texas to face off against Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Well, that wraps it up for this edition of PRN Sports. Make sure you guys stay safe out there. I'm Tyreek Wynn. Healing back to you.
Thanks, Tyreek. I think that is very brave of the players to speak out and protest against their games of the tragic shooting.
Yeah, I think it's really important for teams to be able to express themselves, especially during these times.
Before the semester began, students laid across the entrance of Centennial Hall for a die-in demonstration. The action, organized by the University Campus Workers of Georgia, protested reopening plans by Georgia State University and the University System of Georgia. Their demands included an option for students and workers to be on campus and in layoffs and furloughs for university workers, hazard payouts for frontline workers, and free COVID-19 testing and robust contract tracing. This is what Georgia State graduate student and instructor Darren Fowler had to say at the protest.
A lot of concerned students, workers, and community members are frustrated at how Georgia State and the entire USG is handling the reopening plan. In particular, the ways in which they're not allowing students and workers to make a choice for themselves.
Georgia State University Police Department are taking new approaches when it comes to coming in contact with others. PRN's Antoine Willis has more.
The Georgia State University Police Department is undergoing a numerous amount of changes for the 2020-2021 school year to adjust to the arrival of COVID-19. These new rule changes include the arresting officer wearing a mask, putting a mask on the arrestee, sanitizing the transport vehicle after transporting the arrestee to jail, and ensuring any officer involved utilizes proper hygiene after the encounter.
Our guys and girls have been out there and we've been practicing safe social distancing, so they're used to it. So they'll be out there as normal. You'll probably see a lot more of them.
GSUPD has also gone through a number of changes to ensure their policies and procedures are in line with the best practices in today's law enforcement. In light of the recent events going on in America that have organizations such as the Black Lives Matter movement and people across the world calling for change due to police brutality, GSUPD has decided to ban the use of stun grenades, chokeholds, and rubber bullets, and new officers must go through a bias-based training and mental health training to ensure the best service possible.
Chief Anthony Coleman wants those who are new to the city of Atlanta to stay safe, and he had these tips to offer.
So the first thing I would have them do is download our LiveSafe app. That way they can contact the police. They can use that for safety escorts, and there's many other things they can use that app for.
The GSUPD is consistently working around the clock to make sure their students are safe at all times and will do anything and everything to make sure their mission is accomplished. Antoine Willis, PRN.
Panthers, I know the new transition of online learning is a bit of a challenge for most of us, and you may even think that you are not learning to your fullest this semester. But hang in there and don't give up, because things will get easier. Given our current circumstances, try your hardest and let's push for a great semester with each other. Thank you for tuning in this week's episode of Panther Report News. Be sure to stay connected throughout the week and follow us on all social media platforms at GSUPRN. And subscribe down below and tell us what you think about the show. I'm Keelan Berrien, and Panthers, remember to wash your hands and continue to practice social distancing. We will see you next week.